Moving to Colorado can actually be a bit trickier than you might think, but more so because you may have simplified your overall search, or you might not even know where to start. Yes, it's good to browse through some different suburbs, look at some videos, compare certain cities to each other, and then dive deeper into the ones that pique your interest. But I'll invite you to consider these 4 things, especially because I rarely hear them mentioned, at least overtly, when I'm talking to people who are thinking about a move to the state. Here's what I mean. So the first thing people don't consider, which sounds pretty unimpressive, is find your general location in relation to Denver. But I'd argue it's critical, at least for everyone moving to the Front Range. If you're listening to this and going, Ethan, I'm looking for homes in Grand Junction or Breckenridge, disregard this entire section because it's not applicable. However, an estimated 5 million people live along the Front Range, aka 80% of the state's total population. So there's a high chance you might be in this group too. If that's the case, you have to consider where you want to live in relation to Denver. It's the state capital. Half of all Colorado residents live within the metro area. It has the only international airport, and a huge majority of businesses and commerce are in this area. It is the main hub of Colorado. Now, with this being said, I said find your general location, because maybe due to work, school, or something else, you're looking for places closer to the city, or at least will be within Denver a lot. So things like commute and relative location to popular city spots, business centers, nature preserves, etc. could be high on your list. If you're going to be in Denver often, you're gonna want to prioritize looking first at the closer suburbs, or at least set a max radius on your search. However, maybe you're on the opposite end, and you actually want to be as far away from Denver as possible. Then you're looking at perhaps suburbs or even cities that are quite far away, like Fort Collins, Boulder, or Colorado Springs and Pueblo down to the south. You could be less interested in prioritizing communities, nightlife scene, and shopping, and rather things like rural properties, proximity to outdoor locations, and hopefully little to no traffic ever, if you can get it. Either way, Denver is a focal point here, in either figuring out how close or far you'd like to be. Now, if you've been looking at different areas around Denver to call home, or even in Colorado as a whole, reach out to me. I speak with other interested people like you every week who are gathering as much information about a move to Colorado as possible and have a few questions before they take the next step. If that sounds like you, or you're ready to start the process of moving to Colorado, my information is pinned below. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I look forward to hearing from you. Now let's dive back in, because now that you're looking at locations relative to Denver, you'll find that there's quite a spread. Not only geographically though, which is why the next thing on our list that people can overlook are the general provisions of the suburb. So let's focus close to Denver first and then work outward. The general size of suburbs around Denver can range from select small niche neighborhoods to larger suburbs even considered their own city. But it's not necessarily consistent, even with price too. Generally, the price of homes the closer you get to Denver are more affordable. However, not always. But there is a consistency that the farther out you go from Denver, the homes tend to be a bit pricier, especially if you're looking at locations close to the mountains. So it's good to start sectioning off large areas of Denver based on your price range, and then you have to look at what the suburb provides. Some are older and are more built up, offering an array of shopping centers, arts and nightlife scenes to go explore and enjoy, and outdoor recreational spots to bring a bit of that natural Colorado experience out. Whereas there are a few which are currently more or less commuter towns to the main city. These are newer, underdeveloped suburbs where you'd be heading into the neighboring suburbs for most of your activities. And there can be situations with these types of suburbs where you absolutely love the homes and you love the price. But on certain things like recreational opportunities or schools, for example, it's lacking. So don't forget to prioritize what's in the suburb too, not necessarily just the price. Some fall victim to this and take whatever they can get, and then a few months to years down the road, they come to hate it. Now, the next thing people can overlook, because we're starting to get deeper here, is comparing the taxes between different suburbs, really the counties. Now, perhaps you don't necessarily care to a strong enough degree to completely write off an entire area of Denver because the tax rate is slightly higher. But I invite you to do a little bit more research into this, because there is a spread, and some of the counties might actually surprise you. If we look at sales tax, generally the southern suburbs have a lower sales tax ranging from 4 to 8+%. If you look north of the city, the sales taxes are a little higher, ranging from 4.75% to 9%. 9+%. Denver County itself now has a grand total 9.15% sales tax. Now, I think it's safe to assume it's unlikely you'll reject a town based solely off of its sales tax. But now let's look at property taxes. Now, really, you have to get into the nitty-gritty to be able to fully and accurately project property taxes. However, we can look at general trends to paint a picture. The counties with the highest median property taxes in the Denver area are Boulder County and Douglas County, on opposite sides of the city. Douglas actually levying the highest median property taxes in the state. And then also with the counties on the eastern and northeastern side of the city levying lower property taxes compared to the western side. If you've been comparing a few different suburbs all within one county, it does make it a little easier. But where this can actually get quite serious, and a lot of people might miss it, even to the point that it can cost them later on, is where they buy a home in a town that's split between counties. Let me give you an example. Erie, Colorado on the northern side of Denver is split between Boulder and Weld County, the former collecting generally much more in property taxes and sales taxes compared to the latter. So you could love the town of Erie and find a beautiful home you're interested in, only to find, hopefully before you buy, that the annual property taxes are $12,000. Those aren't made up numbers, by the way. Don't neglect looking at the taxes before you buy. And now the final thing to consider is the relative price and age of the suburb and the overall homes. Why am I saying this? Because depending on the suburb and how built up it is, how structured the overall area is, and the property's relative size and price, it can greatly affect whether or not you deem it a legitimate option. For example, if we look at Boulder, it's a very established city northwest of Denver, provides excellent opportunities for recreation and employment for its residents, and the residents in surrounding towns. However, the median home price is around $1.25 million, with a median size of 2,350 square feet. Not to mention, the median age of homes built in Boulder is 1977, with next to nothing being built in the past 5. Okay, but then if we go 20 minutes east to Erie, the median price here is around $760,000, but the median size of homes is around 3,400 square feet, and the median year of homes built here is 2007, with a ton of properties being built in the tens and an increasing amount in the past 5 years. So Erie is 40% more affordable than Boulder and offers properties that are 45% larger and on median 30 years younger, and only 20 minutes away from Boulder, so you still get all the benefits of the city, but you're getting a home in a more affordable suburb, relatively speaking. This is where considering what you're getting from the suburb relative to its price is key. You might be initially interested in an affordable suburb closer to Denver, only to find upon further inspection that the suburb next door, which has a little bit pricier real estate market, actually has larger homes, is way more built up, and potentially has a better school district. Or in fact the opposite, that the suburb next door is actually quite expensive and the homes are even smaller. And you're almost scratching your head going, why are people paying these prices? Because you're 10 minutes down the road in a much better suburb. So in all, don't neglect this type of research when you're looking at coming into Denver. It's focusing on things like this that can help you zero in on your next home and minimize any chance you get of frustration, either by struggling to find the right place or by finding a place only to realize later that you made a mistake. Keeping all this in mind, if you're ready to do some more research, I recommend checking out a few more videos on some suburbs I've covered, or even just a general comparison between the northern and southern suburbs of Denver. There were some notable differences here mentioned in the video. I think you'll find it helpful. This is Life on the Front Range. I'll see you there.